Today we're gonna start with the JDBC architecture. So let me play the screen for you. Yeah. So we are going to talk about the JDBC architecture today, and I'll give you a high-level overview of the JDBC architecture. Before I start with the JDBC architecture, let me tell you about what the JDBC is all about. JDBC is a kind of a JDBC means the JDBC means a Java database connectivity. It's a kind of an interface with the Java application program, and it is also known as the application programming interface (API). And the back end can be a database like MS Access and the Oracle or MySQL and SQL Server. And what JDBC does is that it allows any Java program to execute the SQL. SQL is nothing but your structured query language and statements, and then retrieve the result and modify the data and delete the data. So this is the function of the JDBC connectivity over here. Um, Now in this module we're gonna talk about the JDBC architecture, how the JDBC architecture looks like. So I'll explain you about the JDBC architecture. Let me just quickly go ahead and just explain you what the JDBC architecture is. So in the JDBC architecture, like the JDBC API, which may be defined based on a one tier, two tier, or the three tier, or entire architecture. I believe yesterday I had explained you the entire architecture. Now today I'm going to talk about the JDBC architecture. Now, depending upon the server where the database generally resides and the client program. So my JDBC API, it has the components. There are a few components of the JDBC architecture like the JDBC API and JDBC driver API. JDBC API is nothing but it gives a kind of a strong link between the JDBC Java application and the JDBC. And at the same time, the JDBC driver API is nothing but it gives the connectivity between the JDBC and the driver. So yeah, so we have the JDBC architecture has a few components. Um, like the first thing is that you need to understand what the JDBC API, and and the second thing is JDBC driver API. Now these two are kind of a basic guideline. The first one uses a driver manager class, and along with the other drivers of the database. The drivers are like they're already installed, the pre-installed or previously installed in the computer, for providing the link with the different databases. So let me just quickly draw the architecture. Yeah, so this is my application. Sorry, let me just delete this. All right, so this is my application, and this is my application. Now what I can do over here is I can okay, so this is my application. Now what I can do is that I can simply you know this application will connect with my driver. So let me connect with the driver again. So this is my driver application. So this is my driver, and okay. So now once the driver is done, what I can do is that I can simply this simply would be my driver management class over here. It's this will be my driver uh, manager class. Now the second thing is that what I need to have is with the driver manager class, I need to have a database driver and the database driver. Their database driver are there, so my database driver can be created, and this is my database driver. And once the database driver is created, what I can do is that I can either connect my SQL or the Oracle. So this is a kind of a simple architecture we have here. And though I know yeah, so this is a simple architecture we have. So let me just quickly explain you the architecture once again. So there are this is the architecture in the Java application, and this application is the Java application is connected with my JDBC API, and this is JDBC driver, and the JDBC driver is connected with the SQL server. So this is a kind of a simple architecture we have. Now, before the understanding the architecture of the JDBC, I would like to explain you a few other things. Like so JDBC before the like architecture of the API, it has the application, and after the application, it has a JDBC API, and then you have then you have the driver manager statement connection. Then you have the callable statement, prepared statement, and SQL data, and those are the part of the JDBC API. And then you have the your driver manager, which I have explained you. Driver manager is like it's a kind of a very important role in the architecture of the JDBC. It uses the database specific drivers to connect the enterprise application to various databases. So if I have to explain you this architecture once again, so you see your your driver manager. This is a driver manager class. So this driver manager class is connects with the different kind of databases. This is nothing but your driver manager class connect to the database driver. So this is nothing but your database driver. So your driver manager class connect to the database driver, and then you can connect with your I believe with your SQL. So let me just quickly draw a picture, and this might be your SQL or Oracle, whatever SQL. You can connect to your SQL, and then yeah. So this is a kind of a basic application. It looks like All right. So this is a kind of your application. Yeah. So this is your application. The application is a kind of you have an application. An application is like we are following a 3-tier model over here, and your application is there, and then the application can be connected with your driver, and then the driver manager class is there, and one of the driver manager classes is nothing but it helps you to connect with the JDB, Oracle and database, and then JDBC drivers are there. Yeah, and the next your JDBC drivers. Okay, so this is a kind of a simple components of the your JDBC architecture. These are the architectural components you have. Now, one important thing is that when you have a kind of this is the architectural part. This is the architecture. Now, however, if I have to define you the components, now if I have to talk about the components of JDBC architecture, now there are a few things which you need to understand over here. Now, the components of the JDBC architecture are completely different than the what we have in the architecture. There are majorly 4 components are there. Now, these 4 components, what are the 4 components we have? So generally have 4 components. Now, these 4 components are JDBC API, JDBC test suites, and JDBC driver manager, and JDBC Odbc bridge driver. So let me just make a note of it. JDBC your JDBC test suite, then you have the JDBC driver manager, and the next one is the JDBC Odbc bridge driver. I'll explain you what these things what they do. Now, JDBC API, what it does is that actually it helps you to it provides a kind of a various interface and methods to establish an easy connection with the different databases. So I have a kind of the syntax would be simple. Syntax would be I can make here Java Java x.sql. This is a kind of a simple statement I can create to start off, and then I can also have this program java.sql dot star. So these are nothing but these are the kind of it's a way to connect your SQL databases. Now, if I have to talk about the Java JDBC test suite, JDBC test suite is a kind of it helps you to it helps the programmer to us to test the various operations such as the deletion, updation, insertion, and the other which are being executed by the JDBC driver. And the function of the JDBC manager, driver manager over here, it is the JDBC driver manager. They load the database specific driver into an application so that it can help us to establish the connection with the database. So JDBC driver manager is also used to make the database specific call to the database, and they help you to provide the processing of the user request. So that's important aspects of the JDBC driver manager. And in the same way, we have the JDBC Odbc bridge drivers. JDBC Odbc bridge drivers, they are used to connect the database drivers to the database. Bridge does the translation of the JDBC method calls into the Odbc method call, and it makes the usage of the sun.jdbc.odbc packages that encompass. Just make a note of this package. Sun.jdbc. So this is the package you can that encompass that helps to native library in order to access the Odbc open database connectivity characteristics. So Odbc means open, full form is open database connectivity characteristics. So this is a kind of 4 components you have for your JDBC connectivity. Now, JDBC Odbc bridge driver, these are the kind of driver the JDBC bridges are created to access your Odbc driver installed on the different client machines. The configuration of the data source name, the DSN in the system, you have to also understand this concept of the DSN system. DSN is nothing but your it's a kind of your data source name. the data source name, and it helps the system to define the target database by means of the ODBC. So when the kind of JDBC ODBC found the old version of JDK, is like you can use the old version of JDK in the type on driver, so it's also kind of a driver, it is a kind of a driver, you can say. There are a few other kind of drivers we have, like we have a JDBC native API, we have JDBC net pure Java and 100% pure Java. So this, now you have to understand which driver you have to use, so you can use a if any of the databases is accessed, such as Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, the preferred driver type is 4. Four type is like pure Java. Pure Java based driver communicate directly with the vendor's database in a type 4 driver through socket connections. So these you have to understand. And if the multiple type of the database is accessed at the same time, the Java application, the type 3 is preferred driver. Type 3 is preferred driver, like we have a Java JDBC net pure Java. Don't talk about the type 3. Type 3 is like, I'm just talking about the sequences I follow. So it's not type 3 or type 4, it's 100% pure Java or JDBC net pure Java. So these are the things you have to understand. Yeah, so let's move on to the slide. Yeah, so I believe you are able to understand the architecture. Now there are two types of JDBC architecture we have a 2-tier model and a 3-tier model. So I already discussed about the 3-tier model, like I have already spoken about the yesterday I discussed about the entire model and all. So let me quickly explain you what the 2-tier and 3-tier model is. That now the I the 3-tier and model and 2-tier model is just simply they help you to understand the application, how the JDBC API works, and then how your driver manager and JDBC 2-tier works. And JDBC architecture, like they have a kind of a processing model to access the databases. Now your 2-tier model application, what it does is that it communicates directly to the data sources. The JDBC driver enables the communication between the application and the data source. When a user sends a query to the data source, and the answer for those queries are sent back to the users in the form of the results. So it's a kind of a simple client server configuration. So this is what. And your 3-tier model, in this case, the users queries are sent to the middle tier services, from which the command are again sent to the data sources, and the results are sent back to the middle tier and there to the user source. This type of model is found very useful by the management, by the MIS systems and all. So that this is one of the important thing. And yeah, so let's talk about the JDBC architecture, the 2-tier architecture. Let me just draw the 2-tier architecture for you for your reference. So let me just design the 2-tier architecture. So this is my Java application. So this is my Java application. Now my Java application, yeah, so my Java application, this is Java application. Now Java application, it has a JDBC. So it is already connected to the JDBC. No, it's already connected to the JDBC. Okay, so my Java to connect to the JDBC, and then I'm able to have a two-way communication with my databases. So it's a kind of a two-way communication I have with my databases, with my that can be a relational database. It might be an SQL or the structural databases, whatever you have. It can be a SQL, MySQL, or it can be a, let me put it in simple way, DBMS, database management system. So this is my SQL I have. Yeah, so this is how it works out. Now what happens is that the client will try to have a client machine and then DBMS properties protocol. So over here, like, I can create my DBMS protocol. So the entire DBMS protocol is created here. My database protocol has been created here, like it has uh, or in the DBMS protocol is created here, and the DBMS protocol proprietary protocol, I would say a proprietary protocol, because it's completely different. And my database server, this is my database server. So this is how the two-tier architecture works out. In the two-tier architecture, one thing you have to understand is that a Java applet or the application talks directly to the data sources. So here we are directly talking to the data sources directly. You know, we are directly talking to the data sources. This is like directly talking to the data sources. There is no other such thing, that's completely connected to the data sources and all. Okay, so this is somewhat. And it requires a kind of a JDBC driver that can communicate with the particular data source being accessed, and the user like commands are delivered to the database or the other data sources, and the result of those statements are sent back to the user. So either I can query here, and then I can give my feedback. This is how it works out. So I can simply write my query to here, and from there it can be connected to the user. So my user is can be a simple, it can go to the simple user. So it can simply go to my user. All right, so my user can see all those things. So this is a kind of a two-tier application, two-tier thing. Now let's talk about the three-tier. So let's talk about the three-tier architecture now. So in the three-tier architecture, the same thing happens. You have a Java app, HTML browser, a Java applet, whatever, and then they're communicating with the application server, and then the application server like JDBC and the database. So let's talk about it. So this is my this is my Java or HTML browser, a Java applet, or I would say HTML browser. So both things are fine, and then it's connected with the it's connected with the our application server, that is my Java program. Sorry, it's taking some time today. No, this one is, yeah, so it's connected with my application server. It is simply a Java application server, and then it's getting connected with my JDBC. My JDBC, like, it's just all JDBC is already there. Mm, this both connected to the JDBC, and now my JDBC is there, and then I connected with my traditional DBMS is connected. So this is how it works like this. I have a DBMS, I have a database management services, and I have a JDBC. So this is how the three-tier application works out. This is a three-tier application. Now over here, my database server, DBMS is a database server, and my application, this is my entire, this is one is known as your this one is known as your server machine. It's a kind of a business logic I have. This is the business logic. This is the business logic. Yeah, so this is how the three-tier application works out. So in the three-tier application, what happens is that until it's very fast. However, the optimization compilers are there. They translate the Java bytecode into the efficient machine specific code, and they are like also use enterprise EGBs and also enterprise Java beans. So because of the Java platform is a fast becoming a standard platform for all kind of middle tier development, and this is like makes possible to take the advantages of the Java robust and multi-threading and security features and all. So these are features of your three-tier application, two-tier and three-tier application. Yeah. So we understood the two types of JDBCs, like the architecture, two-tier application, the three-tier architecture. Now what I can do over here is that I can simply go ahead and understand the components of JDBC. I've already explained the component of JDBC API, JDBC driver management and test suites, and JDBC ODBC drivers and all. What I can make sure that yeah, so this is a database URL formation. Just make a note of it. Like if you want to connect with your different MySQL or Oracle or DB2 or Sybase, so you need to have your URL format and the JDBC driver name. So these are the names of those your JDBC driver and all. So to make sure that all those things, just make a note of it. And so the working of the JDBC application, I've already explained you. The Java application needs to communicate with the database, and there has to be this application JDBC has to connect it with the JDBC API, and then the JDBC driver supporting the data sources as Oracle SQL has to be added to the Java application. So this is what it works out, and I have already shown you the architecture. Like Java application connects to the JDBCs, and then the backend databases. So in a nutshell, let me just show you what exactly it does. In a simple nutshell, what it does is you create a kind of simple it's a Java application. Now your Java application is connected to the JDBC. So your Java application connects to the JDBCs, and then in turn it connects with the it's connected with your backend database. So this is your kind of a database. This is a kind of a simple logic behind your kind of your JDBCs. You can put your where clause. You can use a different kind of SQL statement like create databases, select databases, drop databases, and all. So these are different kind of your different kind of database functions you can create. And then you can do one thing is that you can JDBC is like it's an application programming interface you have. So your Java application is just there, you know. Your Java application, your Java application is there. Now what it does is that Java application connects with your JDBC API. It connects to the JDBC API. So Java application connects to the JDBC API, and then it connects to the JDBC driver manager. So it's connecting with your JDBC driver manager. JDBC driver manager is created. So this is how it works out, and then you can connect with your MySQL. What are the databases you have? You can have multiple databases, and then you can connect with them. You can easily connect with MySQL or whatever databases you have. You can connect uh, MySQL. You can connect with Oracle, or you can connect with any other databases, like any other data source, any other data source. So yeah, so this is how your application looks like. It has the four major components I've already discussed. So yeah, that's all. We don't have anything to understand. Like, you have to understand there are few components you have to understand. Like for you know JDBC API has few components. Um, Let me just describe. The JDBC has few components, like they have a drivers, they have the few API components. So JDBC, the crucial interface. I would not say components, like these are the interface. I would say interfaces which works simultaneously. Like you have the drivers, you have the driver manager, then you have the statement, and then you have the connection, then you have the result set, you have the SQL data. So these are the few things you have over here. Like, you also have the callable statement and the people statement as well. So these are your API interface, and yeah. So this is the your JDBC driver, and yeah. So this is the kind of architecture you have, and yeah. So do let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to suggest, and I'm happy to solve your queries, and you can post your comments on the comment section, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the session, and then if you have any questions, do drop your messages. Till then, thank you and goodbye.